Welcome back to another review hosted by yours truly, Predator Kill. Today we're going to be reviewing BloodBorne, the PlayStation 4 exclusive. This is the fourth game in a long running series, so let's jump right into the positive side. That's right, the good things. Now with BloodBorne being the fourth game in the Soul series, after Dark Souls 2, if I ain't mistaken, people definitely have high hopes. But they decided to make some under the hood improvements and little tweaks to the formula, instead of the game being more about the slow gameplay of the Dark Souls games people know. The game became very fast paced. It heavily relied on you to dodge incoming attacks and to get used to the new counter system. That is because the game is more fast paced than previous games. Since the combat is fast paced, why don't we start with some of the good things? Such as, combat is faster, you get more of a reward feeling for overcoming challenging enemies and bosses. The art direction of the game is also very good. Like, it's very creepy, spooky, but at the same time, it's very beautiful and very interesting to look at. You will find yourself many times stopping to look at the buildings or just to admire how the boss's design is. I mean, the graphics is really good. The whole Victorian setting is awesome. Despite most of the game gives off the creepy vibe, you can't help but to stop and look around, just like I said, at the simplest things. Especially the early hours of the game with the sunset. It's very pretty, but with the later games, the moonlight kicks in, and it's like the areas would give out this different feeling to it. I can't really explain it, but it's really good. The final positive thing is the story. It does a good job of mixing religion, sins of man, and also temptation. You will find out what I'm talking about if you dig deeper in the story. The story is complex but interesting. Creepy but cool at the same time. Once you interact with some of the NPCs or even bosses and you take time to learn their backstories, you will begin to look at them in a very different way. You will begin to notice how they act, why they act, the way they move, and the whole meaning behind the Hunters of the Night and the whole city of Yamen. Really carries a lot in the game and makes you want to continue to learn more about the game. Like I said, the gameplay itself is very satisfying. It's very good, it's fast paced. It feels like a Souls game, but at the same time it feels enough like its own thing to be considered its own thing. And that's really what the company was going for. I mean, the game is lots of fun, and it does a good job of carrying its own weight when it comes to moving the series in what I think is a better direction. Now it's time for the negative things. The negative things ain't very big, very small. Number one is there's not a huge variety of clothing to choose from, like armor sets. So if you play with a group of friends or even random players, you may come across people dressed up just like you. They have some cool looking outfits, but there's just not many of them to choose from. Number two, if you don't spec your character a certain way, some weapons are completely useless. But then I have also spec'd my character into some of those acts to try and make the weapons better, but I still find them very useless in themes of damage, crits, and like the weapons I just never really understood. Like, I never understood that. The dungeons, the chalice dungeons, was a cool idea, but turned out to be hugely disappointed. It got repetitive, really fast, and the difficulty ramps up ridiculously fast. It becomes just very aggravating, so I didn't really mess around with that part of the game very much. The final negative is the game is a little short compared to the others. Now, if you take a few hours a day to play the game will probably last you a decent amount of time. But if you compare it to games like Demon Souls or Dark Souls 1, the game is definitely a little bit on the short side. Overall, BloodBorne is one of my favorite games on the PlayStation 4 because it did a good job of pushing the series in a different direction, and I already thought the series was about to die. I did not like Dark Souls 2, and I felt like they were popping them out every year. But they made a few little tweaks to the gameplay that I think made it feel refreshing. So the game is pushing in a better direction in my opinion. Put together a challenge and still fair game with good graphics, music, satisfying bosses, good and deep story. You will, without a doubt, have yourself a great game. And that is truly what BloodBorne is. In my opinion, it is truly a great game. Like I said, one of my favorites on this system. How many times I have beat BloodBorne? I got up to new game plus 4 or 5. I beat the game, so I've done right there. I beat the game 4 times, and I also beat the game like I think a total of 6 times because I started up new characters, tried out different stuff. I mean, you can mess around with some of the weapons, and you know, if you're looking just to have fun, I mean, you will have a little more of a challenge. But I mean, the game's a great game. It truly is. The art direction, the story, the music, the way that they made a few little improvements that feels like the game is a completely different thing. I mean, those little tweaks really did help push a series that I think was dying in a better direction. With that being said, I give BloodBorne on the PlayStation 4 at 8 out of 10. It's a great game. If you haven't played it, you should definitely give it a shot, because as a Soul game, I think this is an homage to Demon Souls. So, everybody keep on gaming. I see you in the next reviews to come.